Hey. We're back. PP1 Podcast, Ted and Ryan, and maybe Brady. Maybe. We don't know.
Maybe. He's a busy guy.
He is busy guy. I mean, we're shaping the show around him now. He's doing all the fun stuff, and I just want to know. What do the Canucks look like in real life? That's it. That's my only question, and I feel we could drag that out for 60 possible minutes.
Mm. If we can't get him on this week, then we might as well just ask him how fun camp was, because it might be a little bit irrelevant by that point.
That's true.
It'll still be cool though. I'm sure it's a rad experience.
It's been a hot minute since I've seen your face.
Yeah, like yesterday.
We're not meeting in an employee's room with darkened shades and behind closed doors, so that's good.
That was weird.
I feel like we're gonna have something to talk
funny.
about every week. Yeah. So we're here to talk about hockey today. It's the PP1 Podcast on the Dean Blundell Network, and partnered with our good friends who make great sandals over at Summer Skates. My wife's saying hello. Hi, hun.
Hi, hun.
We're already going. We're already live. I'll see you soon. Maybe we'll go short. Who knows? Ted, you're doing good. Are you ready for hockey season?
No, not yet. I need to know a little bit more clarity on what's happened with like the Canucks bottom six, how deep pairings are shaping out, what's going on with the Hamonic saga.
That was the one that wasn't in Star Wars. That was the one episode that wasn't there.
Yeah, it was a really short, kind of just went up quickly.
Yeah,
in a British Columbia town a few weeks ago. So yeah, as soon as that's out of the way, as soon as that's out of the way, we're good. I am done with seeing lit up goalies and AHLers and Nick Patan in the top six and all that stuff. I'm good as if that's all we have to see, and that's all that's left between now and the start of the season, I'm ready for it to just be done.
It's just time. Like, I'm really enjoying this because I haven't invested as much time into this season because I don't have any writing responsibilities. So I'm not having to be like, not just emotionally invested, but like as a responsibility. I have zero responsibility aside from this. And I'll blog on the site as well, but I don't have to blog every game. I don't have to be ready the night before a meaningless preseason game where I have no idea who's going to be in the lineup. I don't know who the goalies are going to be. I don't know the line pairings. I don't know.
How was it writing pregame lineups for preseason games?
How do you think? Like, you have to create a story out of nothing before it's even nothing. So it's before it even becomes zero, you have to create zero, basically. So
sounds fun.
5 or 6 years ago, like, you're looking for, like, you have no idea who's playing. So you're looking online and seeing, who might be in the lineup, and you just write like, hey, maybe they'll look like this tonight. And you're going on a hunch almost, unless you can get some information. So it's pretty difficult, and especially if there's like split squad games. So you're covering like two. Yeah. You're like, all right, well, half the team's going to be here and half the team's going to be here. And, the one that's televised is going to have these guys, and the one that isn't televised is going to have the better players. So focus on Twitter, don't watch the actual game, kind of thing. So it's nice. I'm happy to just like tune in, and if I happen to miss some stuff, it's okay. It's liberating.
Yeah, we've just been busy, right? I mean, there's lots of stuff going on. I think once the season turns around and we're in that mode, we're watching games not every single night, but we're watching hockey basically every single night. It seems like it's a lot different.
Hundy P.
That's Hundy P, buddy.
Like, yeah. I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think this team's gonna be fun to watch this year. I really do. But like our football stuff has definitely taken another step very, very quickly. So like, I'm really invested in that. I love fantasy football in the first month of the NFL. But Canucks are my heart. So you will have it undivided come next week for sure. We're gonna have so much to talk about, but until then, we do have a lot to talk about. Preseason has actually been pretty interesting. there is a lot of
There's
story
a lot going on.
Yeah. We can finally talk about Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes being signed. That happened. No big deal. Literally for one of them. Sorry guys. So we'll get into that. We'll probably talk about Hamonic as well. Again, basically everything that happened with that. Brady had a poll question on our Twitter account. We'll go into a little bit of looks like Green's decision to have like Horvat as like a third line shutdown center. I don't know if that'll necessarily happen. Jason Dickinson, loving me some of that, and he's going to be an absolute piss missile this year. I can't wait.
I like
you
that.
Like that? I know.
That's good.
And a segment that has waited so long to return, the return of Dudes and Guys.
Dudes and Guys.
And if anyone asked a question on Twitter, we'll answer that. And if not, I'll just randomly go live on Instagram or something because, I wasn't paying attention that one time. So without further ado, let's
get I got an Urban Dictionary piss missile here.
Piss missile. I think I've heard it somewhere and I thought that would be fun to say. It may not mean what
in sports, whether it be baseball, football, hockey, what have you, when someone crushes a homer, launches a 60-yard touchdown, passes or nets a goal from the blue line, or a one-timer, or anything that gets absolutely fucking sent.
Does it really say that?
Yeah.
I love it.
Except for whoever wrote this said anything that gets absolutely fucking send, which is wrong. But he means sent. So if Jason Dickinson's going to get sent every night, I'm down for that.
I love it. Like what's not to like? I get excited for this kind of stuff. So, yeah. So Pettersson and Hughes, they're signed. We're excited, obviously, mainly because they're signed.
Because they're signed. Yeah. No more of this bullshit.
No, we're done with that now. I'm happy that it's over. It's done. It's over. They're Canucks again. How do you feel?
Well, I'm happy it's over. I mean, it's funny seeing them sign for what they're signed for, thinking that it took that long to figure that out. I mean,
yeah,
making slightly more than Barzal, for example, and in Pettersson's case, and in Hughes's case too, right? So, but both those contracts, in terms of the dollar value, what a steal.
Both of them for sure.
That type of money puts the Canucks in a win now scenario, which has to be over these next 3 years, because they're not going to get that money anywhere else. And with the likelihood of them having to go out and re-up Miller and re-up Horvat and possibly re-up Besser, it's not going to leave a lot of money, come contract negotiation time for those guys. So it really does make that window immediate, right? So having them come in at that dollar value means no excuses, right? I mean, you got technically a ton of room now in the world. You probably saved yourself, going to go out on a limb, two, maybe $2.5 million, $3 million, depending on how high you think these guys could have went per year each.
Had they done it earlier.
But had they done it earlier, but between $2 and $3 million for these guys combined per year that they're going to be saving. So, I mean, that's money that can get allocated elsewhere. So, I mean, the writing's on the wall. This team is going to make an attempt at winning, if not this year, next year.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of work has to be done. There still needs to be some ugliness cleared out in terms of contracts and stuff, but dollar wise, I'm going to be very clear on that. Dollar wise, this is an absolute steal.
Yeah. It's funny. Like you see it happen. I saw it signed and there was tons of rumors and not speculation, but basically like, this is a done deal. This is what they're going to be signing for. And I kept looking, like they actually made those two contracts happen. And I don't know what kind of hardball was played on either side, because I think we all assumed even a season ago, both of those guys are going to be north of 8, maybe 9, maybe one of them will hit 10. And that it wasn't even close to that.
Yeah, that's where that $3 million a year in savings comes from, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, again, the fact that he made that happen and it looks like they have smiles on their faces, chalk that up, I guess, for another win for Jim Benning as far as the offseason is concerned. Because I don't know, like I don't think those deals should have happened. So the fact that he got them done that way, and that again, the structuring of how I guess all the money and what like Pettersson's qualifying offer needs to look like, this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, slow clap for Jim Benning. I think the hashtag thank you, Jim, definitely comes up in this instance. So it's going to be rocky because things are going to snowball in the coming seasons when they do have to re-up the Bessers and Horvats. But for now, this season, the Canucks are locked up, and we just see what happens now.
Yeah, it's finally something we can just move on to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
The hitch on that is, I mean, that we're very lucky that we didn't run into a Kirill Kaprizov situation where a massive payday was going out. So super thankful for that. 6 years is a real quality term for a guy like Hughes, and you're going to feel good about possibly even re-upping him after that fact too. So you're feeling good about that. You run obviously the likelihood of running into a situation where you're talking about a Carlson signing or something like that down the road, right? Where you're going to be paying for what he did, and you're going to get X amount of good years. OEL's kind of in the same boat, right? But hey, let's really enjoy these 6 years that we're going to get out of Hughes now, right? So at an incredible cost for a guy that could possibly win a Norris. So
that was going to be my next point. Like, you're about to enter the guy. Like, he's not even in a prime yet.
No, he's not even there. He's still a boy.
He's a baby.
I love you, Quinn, but you're still a little baby boy.
And little baby boy, 8 pounds.
It's like I just imagine him in the offseason getting bird fed from his mother.
That might happen. I hope not. But yeah, he hasn't even challenged for a Norris Trophy yet, and he's going to. And you think, wow, that's already locked in.
That's our guy
still. And exactly, he's a Vancouver Canuck.
That's our franchise defenseman, which is maybe you could argue that this team has never had. Never had. There's been some very good ones. We can all agree on that, but this team has never had a franchise defenseman type. Now, the other signing on this one is the Pettersson deal. 7.3. What a steal. I mean, he's easily going to outperform that, in my opinion. The hitch is that it's only for 3 years. I mean, that is not a very long time. So
you didn't like the whole deal.
I didn't. It was, I mean, we all knew it was going to happen. That was a given. The whole time you're holding up hope that they can come to an agreement, something similar to Hughes, where they're going to look at a 6-year deal. But I mean, now we're talking about a renegotiation with a player who could potentially, in the best case scenario, win a scoring title.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna have to renegotiate a contract with him in 2020. Start renegotiating a contract in 2023. I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, you're going to be paying, if you don't want to pay a guy term now, you're going to be paying it to him next time. And my thing with that is just why wouldn't you want to lock up? I mean, you believe in him now. Why wouldn't you believe in him in a couple of years? And why wouldn't you want to lock him up to term? And why wouldn't you want to pay a little bit more now, knowing that you're going to save much more in the long run? But like you said, the 7.3 is a great deal. We're going to, the Canucks are going to reap the rewards of having that extra space. So, don't blow a gym, can continue to do good things if that's what you're doing, right? I mean, continue to surround him with talent. We got 2-3 years to show him that, this team is for real. This team is competitive, and you want to re-sign here, and you feel good about being a Vancouver Canuck. And although it does relieve him as an unrestricted free agent, it's only 1 year, right? 1 year past that, where he can pretty much decide what he wants to do with his future, and we want him to feel good about making the decision as a Vancouver Canuck, right? So it sketches me out when you see teams only signing, their franchise guys for minimal amounts. And I've heard the argument, when do you ever see it good work out for 8 years? But when you know, and I don't think that's reserved for everybody. And just like I thought the Brock deal was great as a bridge, this one I think could have been used as a long-term deal in my personal opinion. And that's, I mean, we're still talking about the dollar value being an absolute steal. So it is a win.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. That's just a critique.
I think I look at it too. There was one other side, and I've always felt this way about these big contracts, like Luongo's big deal, or any of these massive, did you see this on the news? If Pettersson gets to that point after this bridge deal, and he is worth 10, 11, 12 million dollars, I mean, that's okay to pay a guy at that point again, because if he's worth that, he's clearly doing enough that dollar value shouldn't even be questioned. So I always get excited about those deals. For some reason, I don't know, the little kid in me is just like, ooh, look at the shiny monies. For some reason, it just, if he gets to that point, it really doesn't matter. If you have to pay the guy $12 million at that point, you're going to find a way to sign him for $12 million, because at that point,
because he's your guy.
He is. And if you've already, basically, this is probably a team friendly deal. And then the next one will probably be a player friendly deal.
Yeah. I mean, I know what you're saying, and I agree with you. That's going to have to be the road that they're walking now, right? They're on that road now.
Yeah.
Where if he's worth the money in 3 years, then they're going to pay him the money in 3 years.
The prove it thing still sucks. Definitely. Like, don't get me wrong. He should be getting all that right now, for sure.
If you think he's your guy now, though, like, why not just pay him now? I mean, I guess
because they can't.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think he could have found ways to make that dollar value work.
Well, we talked about all the ways, right? We talked about what you could do, like a Tanner Pearson, and maybe you elevate somebody else, and hopefully you've got some found money somewhere in your roster. In this case, I guess they don't, so whatever. But anyway, we're all excited.
That's the lone critique, and at the end of the day, those boys are signed, so thank goodness for that.
They're going to be in a preseason game, and that's all that we care about. Travis Hamonic, we all thought he was going to opt out. After what we're hearing is that he's still anti-vax. We've had this discussion. That was a heavy eye roll. Yeah, I don't even know why we're talking about it, but we have to, because it is part of what we're going on. Like, no one's even talking about Michael Furland. I wonder what that would have been like. Is he anti-vax, or, where does he sit? I would like to know, even on him, if, he took a physical, like, yeah, I'm vaccinated, whatever.
Yeah, let's just hope he's doing okay, right?
Yeah, but I just don't get it. And I will say this every single week. Like, it doesn't make sense. You have such an opportunity. And yes, maybe there is some kind of a family decision going on there, and all the respect to that. But there's just too much that seems like it is out there already that just feels odd. It just feels like he's not going to opt out. So he says he wants to play. Well, you're only one of a handful of teams in the league that have to go both ways, and you're playing more games over the border than you're not. Whereas the other way around, you might play 8 total games in Canada, 9 total games in Canada all year if you're an American team. So, like, there's a lot on your plate. So are you willing to, again, it's a teammate thing too. Like, there's all that, but it's still an interesting thing, because we haven't heard a lick of information since last Friday when they had to opt out or not.
Yeah, I mean, we still don't know what's going on with.
Not a clue.
I mean,
not a clue.
I don't know. I'm just over it. It's unrelated to hockey, right? I mean, he's making a decision outside of hockey that affects hockey. So until he figures out what he's doing in his own life with his own stuff, with important things that are decisions that are made to family and health and all of those things, in addition to all of these other things that we're all being mandated to make.
Sure.
Figure out what you're going to do, and then decide whether or not you're going to be a Vancouver Canuck or not. Because until you're locked in as a Canuck, and by being locked in as a Canuck, it means everything else as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's just he doesn't move the needle enough for me to care.
Exactly. Like, if this was, I guess you would have to, like, do you elevate it? If this was, let's just say this was Elias Pettersson, then what?
Yeah, I mean, then I'm invested more and I care more, but it doesn't change my outcome. It doesn't change my opinion, right? I mean,
yeah.
Make the decision so that we can all move on to the next step, please.
Yeah, you're a grown-up. You can figure this out. You had a time frame. You needed to decide. You're not more special than the game. You're a human being. You're entitled to that. But at the same time, there is structures to this, or confines, or whatever you want to call it. There is that, and you do have to follow those rules, because they still have to get this business going as a league, and all the teams have to follow these guidelines. And we've heard other players that have either opted out or are staying in, and they've made decisions that they're going to hang back. And again, we've talked about that, but one way or another, say what you're going to do. Like, let's get this figured out.
What did mom always say when you were a kid, right?
Stop.
Shit or get off the pot.
Oh yeah, it's true. I'm just one of those people that it takes a little time. Sometimes it takes me a bit
You're the
longer.
man in the house. You pay a mortgage. You're allowed to sit on the toilet. It's all good.
I appreciate that. Thank you for that. I was watching I think it was during the intermission on Sunday, and they had PD and Hughes. Murph had them for an interview there. And I'm listening to both of these guys talk. And this is nothing new. But I'm so happy that a guy like Quinn Hughes is exciting on the ice, because he's about as exciting as sand in real life. He is so boring. And I'm watching, I'm thinking, oh man, I can't wait till you put on a jersey, because this is unbearable. Just like, I know you're a franchise defenseman and the guy beside you is our franchise center. Give us something. Like, I don't know, like something funny, something, just break the ice. Don't, like, it was so boring. And all I could think of, that was the only thought. I cannot wait till these guys play, because I can't stand this interview. It's so dead.
It's crazy how they can be such savants on the ice and then just seem so awkward and uncomfortable in front of the camera, right? I mean, it really is just foreign to them. But I mean, that was kind of always the funny thing, or the fun thing about Pettersson, was like, especially in that first year, he's kind of a dick.
But at least
right?
be that.
But it was great, right? It was so both those guys have really embraced like their inner hockey player when it comes to interviews. So it's very it's very 110%, 60 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, right? Like it's
very
blah blah blah, but I mean, that's just hockey players in general, right? There's so few and far between when you find somebody who's a really exciting interview, right? That's why we all glom onto a guy like Bieksa, who just was really, is a hilarious guy and is willing to be and is engaging, right?
Well, I think like Pettersson is pretty interesting. Like he's had
some for sure,
like the Google me kind of thing, or like he's had some moments. He released his hype video for the season.
The death stare when he was told he's skinny.
Yeah. And you're frightened. But just Quinn Hughes, like, again, you're a magician on the ice. You really are. But holy smokes. I mean, the game
goddamn wizard.
Yeah, the game was
just
awful.
Unloading fucking piss missiles from the half circle.
Exactly. Speaking of piss missiles, we're not going to get into the guy that I was saying, but check this out from the game. Did you see the game on Sunday? I know it was during the football game too, but did you see this?
I did not.
Check this clip out. Look at this. Holy mo!
We could be seeing a very rare and extinct species of Danglesaurus rex.
Oh, nasty. Like, I was watching that in real time. Like, what are you doing? What are you? And then he pulls it. I'm like, and the whole crowd's going nuts. I'm like, he didn't score. That was like, it was in that stratosphere of the Bure debut game. Like, of
no.
It's in that level. I think so.
No, right. Sure. Ryan.
He dangled through the entire team, didn't score.
He sat there from the wall and he like shaked a dude.
He shook a few dudes. Should we watch
it again? He didn't. Yeah, watch the game. Play it again.
Okay, let's go again. Let's dissect this. So you go,
whoop. On the wall, shakes a dude.
Another again, and then the goalie. That's half the team.
Okay, Ryan, that is not Pavel Bure.
I said I didn't say it was. I said it's in the stratosphere.
No, it's not even a stratosphere. We're talking about Pav opening shift, gets the puck, wheels, beats like 3 guys before you see that he's already the fastest skater in the league and almost scores.
I'm going to disagree with you for the sake of this show. And I love Pavel Bure. I don't have the clip to go back to back on it. So,
well, if you're going to make a big comment like that,
he's also Russian.
It's like that time that you tried to tell Dixon Ward that Mario Lemieux or Wayne Gretzky was arguably the best player in the NHL.
Well, there's a few guys that are pretty good. Yeah, I got it.
But he looks good. I think, and up until that point, right? I mean, he looked very pedestrian. He looked very average, right? So that game was like a bit of a coming out of sorts for him too. So it was really good to see. I think there's no doubt he's going to make this team, right? It's just whether he's going to fit in on a 4th line or he's going to fit somewhere into the bottom 6 or the top 6, right? Maybe not top 6, maybe top 9.
How do you compare him to like Höglander from, a season ago? Like
they're just so just different. Yeah, they're just so different. I mean, I think if we get into a position where he's logging minutes that are similar to Höglander, then I think we'll be in pretty good shape.
Okay.
But we very well could see an entry into the NHL similar to what we saw with Bo, where he was centering a fourth line and really cutting his teeth, playing with some veterans and things like that. And ultimately, he was a cream rises to the top guy, and I think Pods is going to eventually be that guy.
Yeah.
But his baptism into the NHL, I don't think it'll be as quick as Höglander was. I think he was just a little more set offensively than Podkolzin was, and
probably a different style player too.
But one is just so much more of a complete game. I would love to see him pair up with Dickinson and whoever else, on that line. I mean, for him to continue to learn defensive side of the game from a guy like Dickinson or from a guy like Pearson, or even if he gets stuck on a fourth line, I think that's going to be okay.
But you're going to be excited.
Ultimately, he's going to play.
Yeah,
because we're going to see things like that. Normally, when we see guys play on the fourth line, and Bo was a lot like this too, right? Normally, we see guys on this fourth line, they're just like crash, bang, 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 hustle, get the puck deep, get a face off, get the other line on, right? But we're going to see, same idea, Tyler Mott, right? But we're going to see something like and Horvat was like this too when he first broke into the league. You'd see him dangle a guy, you'd see him try to toe drag a dude, and you'll see all of those things from Podkolzin. But addition to that, every once in a while, you'll see a flare like what you saw in Seattle, where he's gonna dangle a guy and try to go to the net and try to score because he's got those chops, right?
Very Burry-esque, I would say. I'm here. I'm here for all week. Yeah. So we had our poll question on the 1st of October. I can't believe we're already here. What do you think, or who do you think will have the biggest positive impact on the Canucks this season? We got a decent amount of votes. Connor Garland, OEL, Podkolzin, or Jack Rathbone. And OEL took it by just, what do we got? 8%, 9%, but over Connor Garland. How has OEL almost out of nowhere become like the guy that everyone said he wasn't going to be? And now, again, I know this is preseason, but it's like everyone was just crapping all over. Oh, we got another 6 years of a guy that's kind of washed up, but we'll get some of this, blah, blah, blah. And again, I know it's preseason, but what we have seen and how he's controlled the play, how he's controlled the puck, and how he's created offensive chances. I mean, I like what he's bringing already with the matchups that he's had, with the pairings that he's been on. I mean, should we be, as excited as we probably should have been of the normal OEL? Like, did him moving cities, like the guy we will not name from the team that he left, will we get the same kind of impact that a certain number 21 that seems to be making in Arizona right now?
Well, I mean, if preseason is everything you're going to bet your farm on, then 21 is out there leading his team in scoring in the preseason. So
yeah,
I just don't think you can read too much into the preseason. That being said, like, who did we think that OEL was? I mean, the guy he's a top pairing defenseman, or if not, then he's at the very least a very, very, very strong top four defenseman.
Yeah,
he's a legitimate, respected NHL defender who's had a tough go of it in Arizona for the last little bit.
Right,
and we know better than anybody that a trade can rejuvenate you a little bit. I mean, look at Tanner Pearson in his last few years coming over from, I can't even remember where it was that he came over. No, he left from LA and went somewhere else. And then came here. But that same idea, right? I mean, where anybody who thought OEL was going to be just a dog shit defenseman is out to lunch, or just doesn't know. He's had some tough years, some regression years in hockey, but part of everything that pisses people off about OEL or brings those expectations to a head where they're going to say he's going to be garbage is they're going to be garbage compared to what his contract status is, right? So
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. So he hasn't played up to his contract status the last couple of years, but we're not also paying him his full contract status. And it's still a lot of money that we're paying, and probably more than I'd like. And I've been pretty vocal about that in the past and how long this contract is and how long term is on an aging defenseman and all this stuff. But for the next 3 years, and we talked about the next 3 years with the Pettersson thing and the re-upping of the contract, and that Bo and that Brock and others all are going to have to be Miller are all going to have to be re-upped. That we're going to need somebody to make a push, and we're going to need somebody to win now, and he's going to have to be part of that scenario. And he is a very good NHL defenseman who hopefully can start playing what his contract value is worth again. He's probably not going to play what his full contract value was worth when it was in Arizona, but we're paying a deducted level. We just need him to be at that deducted level, and then we'll be in a good shape with him. And anybody who's surprised that OEL is a good defenseman right now, the poll, obviously Twitter knows that the poll was right. The people who voted OEL is going to have the biggest impact. They're right. He's going to. I 100% agree with them. Our listeners know what's up.
Yeah, they do. It's just funny because when that trade was made, I mean, even a year ago, obviously all this, the analytics guys, he's absolute shit as far as analytics go. And yeah, he was on a team that clearly wasn't helping anybody out. And there's a lot of guys that need, a fresh start. Even guys like, look at a guy like James Neal when he goes over to Vegas, all of a sudden just absolutely shreds it, right? Yeah. Like you don't know when that switch is going to get flipped and you're going to get the second part of a guy's career. I mean, hey, Martin St. Louis is a great example. Martin St. Louis was almost out of the NHL.
Right? Yeah.
He was kind of again, he wasn't a star.
So somebody gave him a chance though, and he popped, and you don't know what you're going to have for sure.
But he's being given a chance in Vancouver. Again, he's got the status already, but it's almost like I feel he's probably been written off to a certain extent around, and the Canucks are like, no, we can still make this happen. And maybe he does turn it around of, the game where he probably should be. And then he keeps going up. Like, who knows? Yeah.
And you know what? And this wasn't a freebie. Like, the Canucks paid for this, right?
Oh,
they're expecting him to perform, and they're expecting him to be as advertised and to be the OEL that the league knows not over the last season or two, but the one that was out there prior to that was given this contract that he earned.
Yeah, exactly. Let's have a little bit of fun.
I like fun.
Just turning the sound down for this. Let's bring it back. Let's bring back dudes and guys.
Dude, what does mine say? You guys! Dude, what does mine say? Guys!
Wow. That was good. Well done, Brady. Well freaking done.
Well freaking done.
I like it. That was a piss missile kind of a song, kind of an intro to Dudes and Guys. It's back. It's back. Are you excited? I'm excited.
I'm stoked, yeah.
Like, we haven't done this in forever. We've got our own.
It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So do we go guys first? Do we go dudes first? What do you think?
Yeah, let's do guys first.
Guys first. Okay. So
I'd say there was a lot of games over this past week, so you could probably pull a guy from a game or whatever that you want.
Yeah, I would say, oh man, I guess Ole Ulevi really hasn't been much. I don't know. I was more prepared on the dude side. I was really all in on the dude side, but I don't know. Tanner Pearson hasn't exactly been exciting quite yet. Really, Travis Hamonic should be our guy, but I don't know. I haven't seen a whole lot. Like, Tanner Pearson's been, well, don't get me wrong. Him and Bo had a pretty good game against, I think it was Calgary. But I don't know. I kind of want those guys to be the stars for the whole preseason. All the middle six. You know what your stars are going to do for you. Bo's ready to go every single game. Period. He's ready to rock and roll. But even though he had, like you said, the kind of give and goes, and he got a little bit lucky on I think his little pop-in goal there. Right place at the right time. But I don't know. Maybe I just hold everybody on this team to way too high of a standard. So
okay.
For the sake of this inaugural, and I'm getting, I'm a little rusty. So I'm going to go Tanner Pearson as my guy, even though he may not be warranted, but I'm going to call
him.
I
think he had like a goal and an assist.
He did. Yeah. The 2 games ago, the whole team sucked last game, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, he right now he's the veteran guy out there. So if you're going to look for a guy that has to move a needle, it probably has to be a guy like Pearson when, he's like one of only 7 or 8 vets dressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Like, I'm not going to argue. It's the preseason, right?
I'm a little rusty. Maybe it's not warranted. I mean, 2 points.
Flip. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I if I do that, then
I'm not going to take a big dump on your guy. It's all good.
I appreciate that. No Cleveland Steamers on this show.
This might be an odd one because this is a guy who has also put up a couple of points, but I'm going to say that my guy is Nick Petan. I know people are loving Nick Petan right now. I mean, he's been a bit of people talking about him on Twitter and they like what he's doing on offense. But to me, we're talking about a guy who's playing with really nice top 6 players every single game. He's getting cherry prime power play opportunities. He's been asked to lead up in an offensive role and he's put up a couple of points, but I feel like anybody who has the chops to play on the top 6 to be putting up points like that. And if you're gifted that much opportunity, I'd like to see a little bit more. Like, you're in here as a free agent. You're strictly known as a skill guy. You're not a dude who plays in the bottom 6. I want you really establishing yourself as a player who is supposed to be putting up points in this cherry position, because just about anybody's going to be able to do that if they have some skill as an offensive player. And I really think that he's now taken time away from a guy like Jonah Gadjevich. He's now been sent down, placed on waivers. Guy, not necessarily specifically from Gadjevich, but guys like that. So I don't think Nick Petan is the solution to finding an offensive spot in this top 6. And I'm a little bit annoyed that much opportunity has been gifted to him.
Yeah.
And I don't think he did that much with it. I think he put up some points. We were expecting him to put up a couple of points, but he hasn't looked anything other than like a passenger on that line, in my opinion. So,
and here's another thing. So here's another thing too. Like, look who they've played so far. Like, if you're looking to impress your coaches in a training camp in a preseason like this, like, who have they played? Like, this is a pretty easy preseason. You get a couple against a Seattle team that looks like they're almost dressing their opening night roster almost every night.
Mm-hmm.
And, you get a little bit of Calgary, you get a little bit of Edmonton. You're not really seeing McDavid. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for these guys to establish themselves, because this isn't anything. I'm not looking for a 5-1 win over Calgary. You know what I mean? I'm just looking for you to establish yourself in a role that you're auditioning for, and I haven't seen that.
Totally. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're given, as you're saying, if you're given the opportunity, like, look who you're playing against. You got to make something of that.
In the words of Alex Burrows, do something out there. Shoot the puck.
Win the turd. Win anything.
Yeah, go win the turd.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just haven't seen enough. It's like
I think that's the hard part. Like, sometimes these guys are like, I got to pick someone, and we're gonna fill that spot. We're gonna fill that spot because we have to. Like, you got to draft a kicker. You got to have a defense. Like, all right.
We fixed that. We don't even have kickers in our league.
Hey, see, we're learning.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go with my dude. He's in our rundown, so I'm picking him. The piss missile himself, Jason Dickinson. From what I have seen from this guy, he's a lot of fun. Against Seattle, goes and kind of crashes into the net, runs over the goalie. Yeah, accidentally on purpose. He knew he was jawing a little way. He looks like he has that, like the Antoine Roussel, the Alex Burrows. But again, I think he's going to bring a little bit more to that position than, in a different way than definitely Antoine Roussel. But, I like him, just kind of watching how he plays and what he's bringing to the game right now. Like, again, hasn't lit the world on fire, but man, like, there's that spark there.
He's going to be a popular guy.
Yeah, like, knowing what he will bring and who they're going to play against, like, those games against Calgary are going to be intense. Those games against Vegas are going to be intense. I can't wait. I can't wait. But he does it in a respectful way too. Like, you have to hate the guy because he's playing it. He's gritty,
Yeah, he's just you can tell he's a real tough guy to play against, right? I mean, it's a lot like Antoine Roussel, but without the antics, right? I mean, we're not going to have, you don't see a Reeves coming over a blue line to beat the tar out of him because he's running around too much, right? I mean, he's a real abrasive guy who's going to lean on you every single shift, and he's going to push it to the limit. You know,
and it's going to break. Like, he got
a probably still say good play out there or something like that. You know,
he got jobbed on a double minor against Seattle. I was watching. He I can't remember who he hit, and he had one hand on his stick, and just like the collision, he wasn't able to control his stick 100%. Hit the guy in the face. He's spitting out a little bit of blood. Like, you know, the really awful call that you see. Like, oh, technically there's blood, so that's 4 minutes. Like, they even looked at the replay, and they finally like, yeah, it's 4 minutes. And he's looking. He's like, really? And I mean, it was a penalty. Don't get me wrong. It was a high stick. He kept it. You know, he didn't hold on to his stick 100%, and it happens. I mean, it's not the greatest penalty, but it is a penalty in the book.
Gotta have control of your stick.
But the 4 minutes, I'm like, yeah, I've seen worse. I've seen worse that, you know, that gets called less. So anyway, I'm excited. I think he's going to be one of those guys. I don't know if he's going to be my boy yet, but he's getting close.
He might be. I can see you in a Dickinson jersey. Yeah. He's going to be a crowd favorite.
I mean, BC Lions can really max out on that. Maybe bring back some Dave Dickinson jerseys. Just
get him out there and some baby Dave with his like little water skeeter legs. Yeah, look how fast Dickinson's running. He's actually not running that fast. His legs are just moving really fast because he's so short.
Like Looney Tunes.
Yeah, like Speedy Gonzalez almost.
There you go. Who do you got?
My guy, because this Calgary game was something else for me, man. Like, God, I gotta hand it to Eric Branson. Another 17 minutes in penalties. He continues to find work in the NHL. He's not my guy, but I just thought it'd be funny to bring him up.
You just wanted to go there.
Yeah, my guy was Nils Höglander. I mean, I think he's already in midseason form. He's running around on there like a buzzsaw. He's trying his best to take over games already.
Yeah.
Every time I see him out there, puck's on his stick. They're in control. I mean, he's dangling guys already. He himself is a tough guy to play against. I mean, when he's down low in the corner, this guy is a fire hydrant, man. Like, I think it's possible that he got even stronger in the offseason. So I'm excited to see what Nils Höglander can do this year. I think he's been phenomenal in the preseason already. I think he's solidified himself an important spot on this roster. We don't know how much of a role he's going to take from an offensive standpoint. But I think if it doesn't happen right away, he's going to force himself in at this spot. And I'm looking for 20 goals from Nils this year. Just based on the way that I've seen him play the last couple of games, the guy he's fun to watch already. And if you're not off your seat and up for Nils Höglander when he's in there doing his thing, then man, maybe you're just a little bit sleepy watching the game. But that guy he looks like he's better already this year.
He's just a guy. And I think most of us appreciate someone that works hard. Might not be the best player, but they work hard. Well, when you have guys that can actually score, and you have guys that can play make and they work hard, I mean, that's the package you want right there.
Yeah, if he hits the Ryan Kessler school of thought and spends his days shooting 400 pucks a day before he comes back to the preseason, if his shot is on as good as his down low and his in close moves are,
and he's kind of chippy too.
Oh, he's a little shithead. I love it.
Like, it's all those little things. Like, you build all those things up, and that's a lot of fun to watch. It really is. I mean, he was fun last year. You know, didn't hit quite a stride where he got rookie of the year kind of voting, but we're in a good spot right now with these Canucks. And whether it's Podkolzin or Höglander, or maybe we see the next tier of Quinn Hughes and Petey, I'm just jacked. I mean, I look at a guy, he's not going to be ready necessarily for opening puck drop, but Brock Besser, like, I want to see what he's going to be able to do this season. There's enough storylines going on. There's enough talent on this team. They just need to put it together.
Yeah, I think they're gonna compete for a playoff spot, right? That's that wasn't really an option last year, and it turned into an option the year before that, and we can kind of get back to having some fun, right? I mean, if they can just stay in the fight all the way up until the playoffs and sneak in this in a 7-game series when you got this kind of talent on a roster, I mean, anything can happen. There's some holes that need to be filled out. There's some, whether it's internally or the Canucks make another play to fill a roster spot for a guy like
Hamonic. Big one. Yep.
Yeah. Or if they're looking at, beefing up their bottom 6 a little bit more, I mean, we'll see. It's a weaker division. I think when all's said and done, and we're not looking at preseason games, we see some real rosters come out. But I think this team will be fun, right? It's got some fun characters on it again. I think winning or losing it seems like a bunch of guys that are going to be out there with max effort, and they're going to be in games. They're going to be competitive in games. And that's what we want to see again, right?
2 questions for you. 2 final questions for you. 1, Cole Lind was placed on waivers today.
Yeah.
Where do you think he ends up? Question number 1.
I don't know. If I'm Vancouver, I think I've invested all this time, and if you can just have him back for free, I would take another shot at Cole Lind. Where do I think he's going to end up? I think maybe
Calgary,
Buffalo. It's possible Buffalo takes a shot at him. I think Buffalo I can't remember who they just took off waivers. Shoot. It wasn't somebody with a ton of credentials. Maybe
paying attention to the
maybe I can't remember who it was. Maybe somebody with maybe less so than a guy less pedigree than a guy like Cole Lind. I mean, maybe if I'm Buffalo, I'm looking at anybody who has some sort of pedigree, and I'm looking at scooping them up and putting them on my roster and getting them in there. But if I'm Vancouver, I would look at taking a shot at Cole Lind for sure. So that would be a guy. But I really don't like the idea of Jonah Gadjevich being placed on waivers.
It just seemed early.
I almost could have named him. I think one more strong preseason game out of Gadjevich could have named him a guy this week.
Yeah,
I don't think he's been afforded the correct opportunity to try to showcase his game, to show how much he's improved based on the weight loss. He looks so much faster out there, and he still looks like he's strong as an ox, and he's a legitimate force down low and in front of the net too, right? I mean, he's also a guy that has some pedigree himself. Scored an incredible clip in the AHL. He would have been a great guy to go down there if he manages to pass through waivers. I don't know if he's going to, but he's also a guy that has killed penalties in the past, this in junior and for the World Juniors. And if you think that that's a guy that you could have groomed, I think we could have missed the boat on that. And I'll be real upset if he gets claimed.
Yeah. He's a tough guy, because I do think they probably could have given, I know cuts are going to be coming pretty quick because the season does start next week, but you probably could have given at least one more game, unless they had cuts. And is he a guy you have to cut right now?
Give him a chance to show he belongs there.
Yeah.
Come on,
Now, he has to clear to go down. Does he have to clear to come up?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would assume that once he makes the call up, he's good.
Yeah. But it's just getting down there. I don't know. And for Cole Lind,
that was like an old thing. That was like back when they had like Wade Flaherty on the roster, right? They couldn't call Flaherty up because they didn't want him to get claimed.
Yeah.
But I think that rule got changed. So it's just a call up, I believe. That's the problem.
Gotcha.
Or the call down. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Unless there's some weird thing with his contract that you're talking about. I don't know.
Well, that's it. And it doesn't sound like it. Everywhere that I've kind of read, it doesn't sound like that was the issue. So.
Yeah, especially if a guy like Highmore makes the team. I like Highmore, and at this stage, when you're a 4th liner, a 3rd liner, it's the more you can do. And ultimately, Highmore's a rambunctious guy, and he can kill penalties. He doesn't have nearly the potential that a Gadjevich does. So it would be.
But they're going with the safe thing. Maybe they're just going on that safe. I
know it's safe, but come on.
Well, I think Benny's got to be safe. He's got to have all of his ducks in a row. He probably. Every decision he's going to make this year is going to be, do I keep my job?
Yeah, and it might not be his to make. I don't know. It could be a green thing. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. And maybe it is. Yeah, absolutely. Final question. Pettersson and Hughes were at practice, and they were working on the power play. Pettersson was clapping them from, as they call, the Petter zone. That's great. I'm very excited. Good for you. You can do it in practice. What is their power play going to look like this season? Is it going to be not? Is it going to be productive? Because it will be productive. I think they have one of the better closing rates in the NHL. At the same time, are they going to have anything that is going to look impressive? Like, are they actually going to move the puck finally? Are they going to keep it dynamic, or is it just going to be the same? Get it to the point, get it back to Pettersson, get it to this side, get it to Best. Like, is it going to be predictable again where they're not going to use their bumper guy almost at all? They're not going to use the guy down low. They're just going to do that tree, and then hopefully it works out. Like, what's your thought?
I don't know enough about the power play coach. I don't know enough. But that being said, all they've done is add pieces to their power play now. You know, they've added Carter Garland, they've added OEL. You now have a guy like Tyler Myers who can spend time on the power play. He's shown in the past that he spent some time on the power play that you can put in there in whatever role you need to. There's so many forwards on this team that could play the power play that you could literally have a guy playing the point on the power play, a forward playing the point on the power play. So it's very possible that we end up seeing, I think I just read something earlier that it's possible Bo ends up as a second unit power play guy. But I think it begins and ends with Pettersson, right?
Oh yeah.
It begins and ends with Pettersson, and then Brock is just this like piece who can float up and down and literally be dangerous all on his own if he can just get the puck with some time and some space.
Absolutely.
And if you have a guy like Hughes distributing on the first unit and you have a guy like OEL distributing on the second unit, then it almost doesn't matter, right? I mean, there shouldn't be a lot of excuses there for them to put pucks away and put points away. And this should be a really dangerous team on the power play, and they need to design and structure it as such. And it might not be a case or a situation where they're like, you're going to run this way and do it this way and have the puck go to this person as a shooter every game. It might just be like, what does their personnel look like? What are their strengths? How should we be changing it? How can we be adapting it to their strengths so that we can make Garland the shooter this time? Maybe we make Garland distributor down low. Maybe it's a bumper guy. Maybe we're taking shots from the point with the OEL. Maybe we're having Hughes sneak in. Maybe it's the Pettersson bomb from the Petter zone. Like, it should be a design power play based on your strengths and weaknesses. And their strengths or weaknesses are going to be as such changed around depending on how they format these units from game to game. And that's kind of the thing that I like about it, because any given game, you can switch out 2-3 pieces and it be completely different, and both units are going to stay strong. So I'm kind of excited. I mean, it kind of is an understatement. I'm really excited for what the power play could do this year.
I'm just, and I'll say this every episode, because until it does change, I just want to see the movement, because the personnel on both units, I think, are quite impressive. It's how do they use them? How does that actually get executed? Because if it does go back to that same umbrella style where it's so predictable, like, it's going to go to Pettersson, but I also want to know that they can use the guy down low. I don't want it to be the predictable unit like Ovechkin or Stamkos. The thing is, they've also got a second guy and they also score. This team, they can get it to Pettersson every single time, but it's not a guarantee they're going to score a goal. They have to be more creative around the net. They have to be creative down low and then up high. They have to use all 5 guys instead of rely on 3, because I find when it was working right early on, when they started getting PD on the power play, when it was working, they were moving the puck a lot, and you just couldn't touch Pettersson at that point because you had to respect all the other options. And that's what I want to know, because the personnel's there. I agree 110%. But how do they execute it? Because their execution in the last 2 years has been dismal.
Yeah, I agree.
And they still score, which drives me crazy.
It's just like in football, right? I mean, your running game opens up your passing game.
Mm-hmm.
And, when your running game's strong, it opens up play action, which keeps them, people bite. And then it's all about the passing game. And then if they're rushing you on the passing game, then it opens up screen passes, all this stuff, right? So
right.
They can't pigeonhole themselves into a corner. And if they get stuck doing that, then I won't think it will fall apart, but it won't be as successful as it could be.
Yeah, it's frustrating, because I mean, our namesake, this show, is based on that, and there is so much to talk about. But they have to produce on it, and they have to make it worthwhile, because they can be one of the elite power play units in the NHL, and that's going to obviously lead to more goals, which leads to wins, playoff standing points. But they need to do something about it. That being said, we've had way too much fun already. 2-man show. It sucks we couldn't get Brady in. Work and school, or more so school, has kind of grabbed B for this week. But we'll get him in. I'm chomping at the bit. I got a ton of questions to ask this guy. Like, what's it like? What's it like being back in a Canucks game? What's it like to be Bob's son? Like, I want to know. He's royalty in Canada, so it's just how it is. You're still on mute. Any final words, sir?
I think just like you, man, I'm just excited for this season to get going, and it's a great time of year. Like, the weather sucks, but it's a great time of year if you're a sports fan, right? I mean, we get college football, we got NFL football,
NASCAR.
Yeah, that is a thing that people like somewhere.
No, I was just kidding. You don't have to follow NASCAR.
I mean, hockey's about to get going, right? Turkey Day's coming. The stout beers and the porters are out.
Squid Game. Yeah.
What a time to be alive. Oh yeah, man. I'm rolling through that right now. I'm halfway through the third episode.
Are you watching that as we're podcasting?
I was, and I had to stop it. I was like, oh, maybe we could just go later. And then you were like, oh, it looks like we're gonna go around 8:30. So I was like,
man, you're killing me here, buddy. You're killing me.
I'm in the second game, and they've just got to the place.
Finish Breaking Bad, please.
I'm working on it.
You gotta get there.
Break. I'm like 6 episodes from the end. I'm savoring it.
Focus. You've heard that before from other people. I'm not going to name names, but focus. Eyes on the prize.
I can't even remember who told me to focus.
This is a family show, so just focus. Eyes on the prize. Oh boy, it's not the other show, so maybe we'll keep it at that. This has been a lot of fun. PP1 Podcast, Team Blundell Network. Like and subscribe. Like, please like and subscribe. Follow us. Come. Did you guys see the hoodie? Come check out. We got a mint hoodie. It is mint, not just in fabulousness, in color as well.
Mint in color.
It's amazing. You got to hit me up for that. There you go. On behalf of Ted and Brady, who is not here, but is here in spirit, I'm Ryan. This is the PP1 Podcast. We are on the Dean Blundell Network. We're proud to be here. Have a wonderful, wonderful Turkey Day, everybody. We'll see you next week with real Canucks hockey.